You've probably heard some of these names before: Slender Man, the Mothman, the Black-Eyed Children. Maybe in passing. Maybe through a late-night TikTok that made your skin crawl. Tonight, we're looking at 10 creepy urban legends that are gaining traction again. Not just through stories, but through first-hand accounts and social media that's bringing these monsters back into the spotlight. He wasn't born from ancient folklore or whispered myths passed down through generations. Slender Man began as a Photoshop contest entry in 2009 on the Something Awful forums. An eerie image of a tall, faceless man in a black suit, standing just out of focus behind a group of children. But what started as a fictional creation quickly evolved into something much more unsettling. It grew into an urban legend that blurred the line between fiction and fear, becoming a modern myth fueled by internet forums, horror stories, and first-hand encounters. Slender Man is described as unnaturally tall, between 8 to 10 feet, his limbs impossibly long, his arms often portrayed as stretching into the shadows like tendrils. He wears a featureless white face. No eyes, no mouth, no nose, just a blank slate, smooth and cold like porcelain. His black suit is always pristine, almost too clean, giving him the appearance of a distorted businessman or mortician. He doesn't speak. He doesn't run. He doesn't even seem to move, and yet he always gets closer. You don't find Slender Man. He finds you. Most sightings occur near forests, playgrounds, or abandoned buildings. His preferred habitat seems to be wooded areas, tall trees and thick fog masking his approach. People describe an overwhelming sense of dread before they even see him. A tightening in the chest, a sudden headache, static in their ears. And then, when they look up, they see him, just standing there, unmoving, watching. Sometimes he's in the distance, barely visible between the trees. Sometimes he's much closer, only feet away, but always silent, always still. That's what makes him so terrifying. Slender Man doesn't chase. He waits, he watches, and something about him, the way he just exists in your space, pries into the mind and festers there. It's not just stories anymore. Over the years, people have reported encounters, real or imagined, that mimic his legend. Campers getting lost in the woods and reporting strange figures in the trees. Children claiming to have seen the tall man outside their windows. Teens obsessed with him to the point of believing he speaks to them in dreams. In 2014, the legend took a darker turn when two 12-year-old girls in Wisconsin lured their friend into the woods and stabbed her 19 times. They later told police they did it to appease Slender Man, claiming they believed he would hurt their families if they didn't. The story shocked the world and served as a grim reminder of how urban legends, especially in the digital age, can blur the boundaries of fiction and influence reality. Psychologists now associate Slender Man with a phenomenon called creepypasta psychosis, where immersion in online horror leads vulnerable individuals to adopt those fears as reality. But others think it's something deeper, something primal. Slender Man taps into universal fear of being watched, of not being alone in the dark, of something just beyond the edge of our vision. Many still claim to feel his presence, especially in remote areas. They describe nights when the woods go too quiet, when the wind stops and the animals fall silent. A cold pressure builds in the air, a sense of being followed, eyes scanning the tree-line. Then there he is, just standing. And once you've seen him, the stories say, he doesn't forget you. You might wake up with strange dreams, find unexplained bruises, notice electronics glitching. Your mind becomes a maze, and Slender Man lives in the corners of it, watching. Maybe he was just a hoax, a made-up monster from the internet. But legends, real or not, only need belief to thrive. And Slender Man, he thrives in silence, in shadow, in your mind, waiting. The stories began appearing on internet forums in the late 1990s, but those who've seen them insist the encounters go back much further. The pattern is disturbingly consistent. It's late at night, sometimes just after dusk, more often closer to midnight. A knock at the door. You're not expecting anyone. When you check the peephole or window, you see them, two children, usually between the ages of 10 and 14. They're standing unnaturally still. Their clothes might be outdated, sometimes oversized as if borrowed. Their heads are tilted slightly down, making it hard to see their faces clearly at first. But then you hear the knock again, louder, more urgent. When you open the door, they speak softly, almost politely. "We need help," one says. "Can we come in to use your phone?" Or, "Our mother will be here soon. Can we wait inside?" The words are calm, but emotionless, like they're repeating lines they've memorized. Then you see their eyes. Black, not just dark irises, but solid, soulless black. No whites, no pupils, just endless voids that swallow the light. Your instincts scream at you to shut the door. Every fiber of your being knows something is wrong. And that's when the fear truly sets in, not just because of what they are, but because they insist on being let in. They don't try to force their way past. They don't threaten you. They only repeat their request, over and over, each time more unsettling than the last. Witnesses often describe a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread and confusion. Some report their vision blurring or becoming disoriented as they try to make sense of what's happening. Others say that time seems to slow down. You might even feel physically ill. But most terrifying of all is what follows. Those who refuse to let the children in often suffer lingering effects. Nightmares that feel vividly real, intense paranoia, shadowy figures lurking at the edge of their vision. Electronics malfunction, without explanation. Pets behave strangely, barking at empty corners, hiding under furniture, refusing to enter certain rooms. Illness often follows. Headaches that won't go away, flu-like symptoms, even sudden unexplained weight loss or insomnia. And yet, those who do let them in, well, those stories rarely come from the experiencers themselves. Third-hand accounts speak of people who welcome the children inside, only to vanish days later. Friends and neighbors might say they became reclusive, depressed, or unstable. Some are said to have gone missing entirely, leaving behind empty homes with doors still ajar. Others are found dead under mysterious circumstances, with no signs of forced entry or trauma. Theories abound about what the black-eyed children truly are. Some say they're demonic entities, seeking permission to cross a threshold they can't breach uninvited. Others believe they're alien human hybrids, sent to study or harvest humans under the guise of innocence. There are even those who suggest they're spirits of the lost, cursed to wander until someone is foolish enough to grant them entry. Whatever they are, one rule seems consistent: do not let them in. So if you hear a knock at your door late at night, and two pale children are standing outside in the dark, don't open it. Don't ask questions. Don't look too closely. Just lock your doors, close your blinds, and hope they go away. Because once you see their eyes, it's already too late. It began in the small town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, in November 1966. A place nestled among wooded hills and winding rivers. It was a kind of town where everyone knew everyone, where little ever changed until they saw him. Two young couples were driving late at night near an abandoned TNT plant, an eerie remnant from World War II, its decaying buildings and overgrown surroundings already the stuff of local ghost stories. But that night, something far more terrifying would etch itself into their memories forever. Hovering in the road ahead was a creature unlike anything they'd ever seen. It stood nearly 7 feet tall, with leathery wings folded behind its back. Its eyes, glowing an unnatural, burning red, seemed to peer straight into them. When their headlights hit it, the thing spread its wings and took off straight into the air, chasing their car at speeds close to 100 miles per hour, according to the terrified witnesses. They weren't the only ones. Over the following weeks, dozens of similar sightings poured in. Locals reporting a winged humanoid lurking in the woods, soaring above the trees, or standing silently near the old munition site. Newspapers dubbed it the Mothman. The town buzzed with fear and fascination. Police were baffled. Some blamed a large bird, perhaps a sandhill crane. But those who saw it knew better. What they encountered was no bird. Then, a year later, on December 15th, 1967, it happened. The Silver Bridge, connecting Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, was packed with rush hour traffic. Christmas shopping, family visits, holiday cheer. Without warning, the bridge collapsed into the icy Ohio River below. 46 people died. It was one of the worst bridge disasters in U.S. history. And suddenly, the sighting stopped. To many, the meaning was clear. The Mothman had come as a warning, a dark omen of the tragedy that would follow. But to others, the creature wasn't just a sign. It was a cause. Since then, reports of the Mothman have surfaced before other catastrophic events. He was allegedly seen near the Chernobyl nuclear plant before the explosion. Eyewitnesses claimed sightings before the collapse of the Twin Towers on September 11th, and even before the 2007 Minneapolis bridge disaster. Each time, always the same. A large, winged being with glowing red eyes, appearing in the shadows before calamity strikes. But what is the Mothman? Some believe he is an interdimensional being, drawn to areas of psychic and emotional energy, especially in the face of mass suffering. Others claim he's an alien scout or part of a greater intelligence studying humanity's tragedies. There are those who see him not as evil, but misunderstood, a reluctant prophet, cursed to witness death and destruction, but powerless to stop it. Some say he's a guardian, trying to warn people before it's too late. Others believe he's a harbinger, feeding off fear and chaos, his appearance a grim promise of what's to come. Legends have grown. A statue now stands in Point Pleasant, honoring the Mothman as part of the town's strange and tragic history. Each year, thousands gather at the Mothman Festival, where eyewitnesses, skeptics, and thrill-seekers mingle. Yet beneath the surface, unease remains. Because the truth is, no one really knows what the Mothman is. But one thing is certain. When he appears, something terrible follows. Whether he's trying to stop it or summon it is a question no one can answer. So if you ever find yourself alone on a dark road in West Virginia, and you feel something watching, don't look up. You might not want to see what's there. This legend may not stretch back centuries like some urban myths, but has already carved a chilling place in modern folklore. They call him the Smiling Man. Those who've seen him say it was just once, but it was enough to change them forever. It usually begins the same way. You're walking home late. Maybe you stayed out too long at work, or you wandered a little too far after drinks with friends. The city streets are nearly empty now, except for the distant echo of cars and your own footsteps tapping against the concrete. It's cold, quiet, still. Then you see him, a man standing under the weak yellow light of a street lamp. He's tall, unnaturally so, gaunt and pale, wearing a slightly wrinkled suit that hangs too loose on his bony frame. He's not doing anything at first, just standing there, staring straight ahead, and smiling. Not the kind of smile you give a stranger when you pass them on the sidewalk. Not the grin of someone being polite, or even sinister. His mouth is stretched, too wide, too high, like something that isn't used to being human is trying to imitate one. His teeth are exposed. His lips are pulled tight like they've been sewn in place. There's something wrong with his face. You know it the second you look at him. You keep walking. Faster. Maybe. That's when he moves. He doesn't walk like a normal person. His movements are jittery, like he's being controlled by invisible strings, limbs jerking and twisting slightly in directions they shouldn't. He dances toward you, some twisted parody of a waltz. It's out of rhythm. Too quick, too smooth, like his feet don't fully touch the ground. He never speaks. He just grins. Sometimes he follows. He doesn't chase exactly. He just mirrors you. If you stop, he stops. If you cross the street, so does he. No matter how far you go, he never seems to get tired. Never falls behind. The grin never fades. One man in Seattle claimed he saw the Smiling Man while walking home after a midnight movie. He said he first noticed him dancing beneath a lamppost, twirling like a puppet in slow motion. At first, he laughed, thinking it was just a drunk or some street performer. But when the man began gliding toward him, still grinning, still twisting and jerking unnaturally, he knew something was wrong. He ran, didn't stop until he was inside his building, the heavy door locked behind him. But even then, when he looked out the peephole, the Smiling Man was standing at the edge of the parking lot, still smiling. Others have told similar stories, different cities, Different nights, same twisted grin, always watching, always silent. Some people think he's a ghost. Others think he's something else, not quite human, a creature that slips through the cracks in our world, feeding off fear, appearing when you're most alone. But the most disturbing accounts come from those who didn't run. A few unlucky souls say he eventually gets close enough to see his bloodshot eyes bulging in their sockets, close enough to hear the faint sound of his breath, ragged, wheezing, almost laughing. No one really knows what happens next. Those who vanish are never found, and the ones who do return, they don't talk about it. They just go quiet, nervous. They avoid walking at night, and sometimes you catch them staring off into the distance, like they're expecting to see someone just around the corner. Someone tall, someone pale, someone smiling. Sightings of this creature stretch back centuries, crossing continents, cultures, and time periods. In old journals and obscure folklore, there are references to a tall, skeletal figure with hollow eyes and an unnatural silence that surrounds it. It's only in more recent years, through online horror forums and late-night message boards, that this ancient terror was given a name: the Rake. Descriptions are disturbingly consistent. The Rake is humanoid, but only in the most basic sense. It has elongated limbs, grayish, mottled skin stretched tight over its frame, and a hunched posture like it's always crawling, even when it stands. Its eyes are sunken black and empty. There are no pupils, no whites, just void that seem to absorb light. People often describe it as hairless, silent, and terrifyingly still until it moves. And when it does move, it's fast. Too fast. But it doesn't always strike. In fact, it rarely does. That's what makes it worse. The Rake doesn't chase you through the woods or claw at your door. It waits, watches, sometimes for nights, sometimes for weeks. It's most commonly seen at night, often standing at the foot of a sleeping person's bed. Victims usually don't wake until it's too late, until the Rake leans in close, its gaunt face inches from theirs, and whispers something no one can ever remember clearly, yet it leaves them shaking with fear. Some report hearing their own name repeated slowly. Others mention a strange phrase that made no sense at the time, but grew darker with meaning as events unfolded in their lives. People who encounter the Rake often suffer insomnia or psychological breakdowns shortly after. They become paranoid. They begin to hear faint breathing when they're alone. They swear they feel cold fingers brushing against their skin in the dark. Some move houses. Some sleep with weapons. A few even go off the grid entirely. It doesn't help, because once you've seen the Rake, it remembers you. It never forgets. There are stories of people waking up screaming in the middle of the night, just certain it was watching. Others describe waking to find muddy footprints on their floor, leading from their bed to an open window. And then there are the disappearances, unsolved, unexplained. People who saw something in the dark and were never seen again. But the most disturbing part? Survivors say the Rake never speaks twice. If you hear its whisper once and live, consider yourself cursed but lucky. If it leans in again, you won't wake up. People say the Rake doesn't kill because it enjoys violence. It doesn't torture or chase. It simply watches, and when it's done, when it has seen everything it wanted, it takes you. He only watches. He only smiles. And if he gets close enough, you'll wish you never looked his way. Part man, part goat, all malevolence, lurking in the dense woods of Prince George's County, Maryland, particularly around the shadowy stretch near Governor's Bridge Road. The Goat Man has long haunted the nightmares of locals and curious explorers alike. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, covered in matted fur with the legs of a goat and the twisted, leering face of a man or some horrible mix of both, the creature is more than just folklore. It's a warning. The most circulated origin story traces the Goat Man back to the Beltsville Agricultural Research Center in the 1970s. According to this version, a genetic experiment went horribly wrong. A scientist, attempting to splice goat DNA with that of a human, for reasons never fully explained, became the very thing he was trying to create. Either transformed or driven mad, the man fled into the woods. where he began attacking cars with an axe and terrifying teens parked near Lover's Lane. Of course, others say that explanation is too easy, too clean. Goatman's origin, they insist, go back much further. Some claim he's a creature of pure folklore, a shape-shifting spirit, a skinwalker from ancient tradition, or a demonic entity that takes on a beastly form to sow fear. He is a man who turned into a goat. He's a monster who's been hiding in human legends for centuries, simply taking new forms to fit the time. Sightings have persisted for decades, often eerily similar. Hikers on secluded trails report hearing strange bleating or growling noises echoing through the trees. Sometimes the sound comes from directly in front of them, other times from behind. More chilling are the stories of voices, familiar voices, calling out from the forest. Some claim to hear a friend's laughter. Others swear they heard a loved one crying for help. But when they turn around, no one's there. Local teens daring each other to cross Governor's Bridge after dark have reported seeing a hulking figure standing just beyond the edge of the tree line, watching in silence. A few have returned to their cars to find deep claw marks on the doors, or hoofprints circling their vehicle in the mud. Hoofprints far too large for any ordinary animal. In 1998, a couple hiking in the Patuxent Research Refuge claimed they were followed for nearly an hour by something they never fully saw. It was just out of sight, the man later told a local reporter. But it would mimic us. If we stopped walking, it stopped. When we whispered, it whispered. Our own voices. It was like it was learning us. The goat man isn't just terrifying because of how he looks. It's how he behaves. He doesn't charge out of the woods, roaring like some horror movie monster. He plays with his prey. He mimics the voices of their friends. He stalks silently, matching their steps. He waits until they're alone, until they're deep enough into the trees that they forget which way they came. Then he appears. Sometimes it's a flash of fur and horns in the corner of your eye. Other times, it's the glint of two glowing red eyes in the dark. But more often, it's a sound, the clip-clop of hooves behind you where no animal should be. A slow, deliberate pace. A hunter drawing close. No matter which story you believe, genetic experiment gone wrong, ancient demon, or twisted forest spirit, one truth remains constant. Once you hear Goatman behind you, it's already too late. By the time you realize you're not alone in the woods, you've already been chosen. It sounds ridiculous. A man in a bunny suit, chasing people with an axe? It almost sounds like a Halloween prank or a low-budget horror movie, until you hear the details. This legend comes from Fairfax County, Virginia, specifically near an old, graffiti-covered railroad overpass officially known as Colchester Overpass, but more famously called the Bunnyman Bridge. By day, it's just another forgotten piece of infrastructure, weathered concrete, surrounded by thick woods. But at night, the air shifts. The trees seem to lean in. And the silence? It's heavy. Locals tell a man dressed in a dirty, tattered bunny costume, lurking in the shadows. Not just standing there, but watching, waiting, armed with a rusted axe or a hatchet. He's set to chase anyone who dares to come too close to the bridge after dark. Where the legend gets murky. One version claims he was an escaped patient from a nearby mental asylum, back when the Lorton Reformatory was still operational. Supposedly, the bus transporting the patients crashed. All but one were recovered. The missing man was never found, until locals began spotting a figure in a rabbit costume near the train tracks. Dead animals would turn up hanging from trees. Then people started disappearing. Another theory is darker. Some believe he's not a man at all, but something else. A vengeful spirit, forever bound to the woods. A creature that wears a bunny suit like a mockery of innocence, stalking the curious and the thrill-seekers who wander too close. And while most urban legends fizzle out over time, this one, it refuses to die, because the reports are real. Police files from a 1970s document multiple sightings of a man in a bunny costume threatening people with a hatchet. In one case, a couple parked near the bridge was startled when a man smashed their car window while screaming about trespassing. No suspect was ever arrested. Since then, the legend has only grown. Every Halloween, Teens dare each other to visit the bridge at midnight. Some swear they've seen glowing eyes in the woods. Others say they've heard scratching on their car doors. But the most chilling accounts come from those who hear hoofbeats, loud, deliberate, echoing behind them, despite no animals being anywhere nearby. Those who hear the hooves never see what's coming. And by then, it's already too late. Whether it's a ghost, an escaped lunatic, a vengeful spirit, or something no one has ever truly understood, one thing is certain. Something haunts Bunny Man Bridge. If you ever decide to visit, remember this. Don't go alone. Don't stay long. And if you hear something behind you, don't turn around. Because what's scarier than a ghost or a madman? Something that knows you're there and doesn't want you to leave. This terrifying urban legend, known as the elevator game, first gained attention in South Korea before spreading rapidly across online forums, paranormal threads, and YouTube deep dives. It's been the subject of Reddit horror posts, creepypasta, and even inspired scenes in films and web series. The premise is deceptively simple, but the psychological horror it unleashes is anything but. To play the game, you must be alone. No exceptions. It must be late at night, and the building you choose needs to have at least 10 stories. You'll need uninterrupted access to the elevator and, crucially, the nerve to keep going once things begin to feel wrong. The ritual begins by entering the elevator and pressing a strict sequence of floor buttons. 4th floor, 2nd, 6th, 2nd again, 10th, then 5th. This isn't just superstition. It's said to be the sequence that thins the veil between dimensions. According to the legend, on the 5th floor, something strange may happen. The elevator doors may open to reveal a woman entering the elevator, but she's not human. This is the most critical part of the ritual. You must not speak to her, and you must not look at her. No matter what she says, no matter how familiar her voice may sound, do not respond. People who claim to encounter her say she often mimics the voice of someone they know, sometimes a loved one who has died. Others report feeling an overwhelming urge to look directly at her face, only be consumed with terror when they do. Those who manage to stay calm and follow the steps correctly will find that the final press of the button takes them not to the 10th floor, but to somewhere else entirely. When the elevator stops, the doors will open to a world that looks much like your own, but is eerily different. The lights are dim, tinted with a sickly reddish hue. The electronic devices don't work. The building may appear abandoned, and the windows look out over a pitch-black landscape with no stars, no streetlights, no people. The air feels heavier. The silence is absolute. You are alone. This other world, as it's sometimes called, isn't just a place. It's a presence. Players report feeling watched, as if something is just out of sight, always a step behind them. And most terrifying of all, time does not seem to move normally there. What feels like minutes might be hours, or days. Some say they return only to find weeks had passed in the real world. Others never return at all. If you want to come back, you must re-enter the elevator and perform the same floor sequence in reverse. You must remain silent the entire time. If the woman is still there, and she often is, you must not react. Do not show fear. Do not speak. Do not look. Even those who succeed in returning are often changed. Some claim they've been plagued by nightmares, voices in the dark, or a constant sense of being followed. Others say something came back with them. Something invisible, but malevolent. A few believe it's the woman herself, now bound to them for breaking a rule or looking at her face. Skeptics call it an urban myth, but those who believe insist it's real, and warn others to stay away. Because even if it starts as a game, the elevator game isn't something you win. It's something you survive. It started, like many haunting tales, with a dream. But for Adam Ellis, a New York-based illustrator, it didn't stop there. In 2017, Adam took to Twitter to chronicle an experience that would soon captivate and terrify the internet. What began as a series of strange, unsettling dreams quickly spiraled into something far more sinister. Something he believed had followed him home. The entity? A ghostly child with a misshapen head. A spirit he would come to call Dear David. According to Adam, the first dream was vivid and terrifying. He was lying in bed when he saw a young boy sitting in a green rocking chair at the foot of his bed. The boy had a large, dented head, as if one side of his skull had been caved in. In the dream, Adam felt a heavy sense of dread. The child stared at him silently until Adam asked, "Who are you?" The boy didn't respond. Later, another dream brought clarity, but also a warning. A girl appeared and told Adam, "You saw Dear David." She explained the rules. You can ask him 2 questions if you say "Dear David" first, but never ask him a third. If you do, he'll kill you. Adam claimed he had another dream soon after. The boy appeared again. This time, Adam addressed him directly. "Dear David, how did you die?" "An accident in the store," the boy replied. "Dear David, what happened in the store?" "A shelf was pushed on my head," he answered. Then Adam, forgetting the rule, asked a third question. "Who pushed the shelf?" The boy's eyes widened with fury. The dream ended abruptly. That was the moment things changed. In the days that followed, Adam reported bizarre activity in his apartment. His cats began to gather at the front door at midnight, staring and hissing at nothing. Objects moved on their own. Lights flickered. He began hearing strange noises, thumps, scratching, faint footsteps. So Adam did what many wouldn't. He documented everything. He bought a Polaroid camera, took photos of his apartment. Some came out normal. Others were pitch black, even in well-lit rooms. He set up motion-activated cameras while he slept. One clip showed a green chair rocking by itself. Another showed a glass moving on the kitchen counter with no one nearby. But it was the photos that truly disturbed people. In one, taken from his hallway, a faint, child-sized figure with an oddly shaped head could be seen peering around a corner. In another, what looked like a face hovered over him as he slept. Adam's Twitter thread blew up. Millions followed the updates, speculating whether it was real, a clever hoax, or performance art. But those who believed insisted there was something wrong with that apartment, something that felt too real to be staged. As weeks went by, Adam said the encounters escalated. He suffered sleep paralysis. He'd wake to find bruises on his arms. One night, he dreamed of Dear David again. Only this time, the boy climbed onto his chest and stared into his eyes. Then came the final photo. A series of grainy images taken in the middle of the night showed a childlike figure at the foot of Adam's bed, then looming closer. In one frame, its face is distorted, almost skull-like. After that, Adam claimed things went quiet. No more sightings, no more dreams. But the fear lingered, not just for him, but for those who had followed every chilling update. Was it a hoax? A ghost story for the social media age? Or did Adam really break the rules and invite something in? One rule remains clear in the minds of anyone who read the story. You don't answer Dear David. Not once, not twice, and never a third time. This isn't just a story. It's a game, a ritual, one that's been whispered across internet forums, Reddit threads, and late-night YouTube rabbit holes. It's especially popular with teens craving that real scare, something more than jump scares and haunted house walkthroughs, something that feels real, because this one, it might be. The rules are simple. At least, that's how they trick you. You begin by writing your full name, first, middle, and last, on a piece of paper. Then, you prick your finger with a needle and place a single drop of blood on the page. That's your invitation, your offering, your agreement. Next, you light a candle. You open your front door, and you place the paper just outside the threshold. At exactly midnight, you knock on your own door 22 times. The final knock must strike as the clock hits 12 a.m. exactly. Not a second before, not a second after. Then you open the door, blow out the candle, and welcome the Midnight Man into your home. Yes, you're letting him in. You relight the candle immediately and begin to move. That's the point of the game. You cannot stop. You cannot hide. You walk. You explore. You wander your home in near darkness until 3:33 a.m. with only the flickering flame of your candle to guide you. And all the while, he's there. You might not hear him. You might not see him, but you'll feel him. Cold spots in warm rooms, Sudden dread in a hallway that felt safe just moments ago. That crawling sensation on the back of your neck, like someone's right behind you. Sometimes, you'll swear you hear whispers, your name spoken so softly it might have been imagined. If your candle ever goes out, you have 10 seconds to relight it. 10 seconds. No more. If you fail, they say the Midnight Man finds you. And if he does, you don't die. Not exactly. You don't scream. There's no violence. No dramatic horror movie ending. Instead, you relive every fear you've ever known. Every nightmare. Every moment of shame. Regret. Failure. Pain. Over and over. And not for minutes. Or hours. But for eternity. People who claim to play and survive describe terrifying hallucinations. The sensation of drowning in a dry room. The walls of their house bleeding shadow. The whisper of their own name looping like a broken record. Some say they saw themselves reflected in windows, but their reflections smiled back when they didn't. One person said the Midnight Man didn't chase him. He waited, stood completely still at the end of a hallway, watching, staring, waiting for the candle to go out. Skeptics will laugh. They'll say it's a creepypasta, a myth, an urban legend meant to freak out bored teenagers. And maybe they're right, but some rules come with warnings. And this ritual ends with one. Do not try to trap the Midnight Man. Do not provoke him. And under no circumstances should you remain in the same room as him after 3:33 a.m. If you survive, consider yourself lucky. If you fail, no one will know, because you'll still be there, and he'll be with you. So sure, call a game. Play it if you dare. Just don't forget to relight the candle. And whatever you do, don't stop moving. Whether you believe in these legends or not, it's strange how so many people are suddenly sharing eerily similar stories. Maybe it's just viral storytelling, or maybe something darker is feeding off attention. If you've ever seen something you can't explain, or have your own urban legend in your town, drop it in the comments. And if you like true, unsettling stories from around the world, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more.